What's shaking and baking, you hip cool cats? My name is Kit. This is Americans Learn. Please be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe and hit that ring bell notification. That way, all of you are made aware we upload new content upon our YouTube channel. And today, we have ourselves a fun video to check out. It is titled Stalingrad. Stalingrad, the greatest of the cities in the stuttered there for a second. Second World War. It's by Sabaton History. And as always, folks, please support Sabaton History. They have done phenomenal work. Great work. Support them, Sabaton History. Follow them on all their social media. The original link to this video is in the description box below. And the right thing to do, the one thing I expect all of you to do, is support the original content creator. So without further ado, since I'm in charge of the ones and twos, let's get ready to check this video out. So grab yourself a tasty snack and tasty beverage, as you should, as you always should. And let's enjoy this video. In a 3, a 2, a 1.
I'm Indy Nidell.
And this is Hungover Per, and this is Sabaton History.
Good.
The Battle of Stalingrad was one of the biggest and most important battles in history.
And our lyrics to the song Stalingrad is actually based on a Russian soldier's diary.
Summer 1942, Case Blue. It was to be the decisive German offensive that sealed the defeat and collapse of the Soviet Union. Army Group South would descend the Donetsk corridor towards the city of Stalingrad on the Volga River to protect the northern flank of the forces pushing towards the Caucasus oil fields. Adolf Hitler had, however, made the decision that instead of bypassing the city, Stalingrad itself was an objective and was to be taken by storm. Capturing Stalingrad would, in fact, not only destroy a major industrial hub, but also block Soviet shipping coming up the Volga.
I can't help but think of the great film Enemy at the Gates, starring Jude Law and so many other wonderful actors. The story of Vasily Zaitsev and the sniper duel between the Third Reich and the Soviet Union.
August 23, 1942, the forces of the German Sixth Army under General Friedrich Paulus entered the city. The Soviet reinforcements, being rushed there, were greeted from afar by explosions and pillars of smoke. Even the darkest night was illuminated by the incendiary bombs that turned the once beautiful city into an inferno of burning ruins. Still, day and night, the ferries poured men, tanks, and supplies over the Volga to keep the city in Soviet hands. For the men on those ferry boats, there was no going back, for neither the dive-bombing German Stukas above them, nor the merciless and ever-watchful eyes Stalin's commissars of the NKVD gave them
Oh, the Commissar. The Commissar sees all.
any choice. They would push the invaders back, or they would die trying. Stavka, Red Army Command, had tasked its 62nd Army under Lieutenant General Vasily Chuikov to hold on to the city that Stalin considered the symbolic birthplace of the Bolshevik Revolution, whatever the cost. Stalin's orders were law. We shall never surrender the city of our birth. Let us barricade every street. Let us transform every district, every block, every building into an impregnable fortress. Ironically, in that task, they were helped by the German Luftwaffe, as its massive carpet bombing campaign had turned the city into a maze of ruins and rubble. Every cellar could be turned into a bunker, every collapsed factory into a possible strongpoint. And Chuikov's tactic was hugging the enemy. They would be so close to the Germans that they could not be targeted by artillery. In the wreckage, men caked in dirt, dust, and blood ran into each other, fighting mercilessly with guns, hand grenades, and bayonets. Small platoons of Soviet submachine gunners swarmed through the ruins, trying to outflank their enemy, while German stormtroops rushed from cover to cover under the stutter of machine guns. Chuikov called it the Stalingrad Academy of Street Fighting.
Where'd you get your degree? Oh, the Stalingrad Academy of Street Fighting, man. I majored in urban warfare and scout sniping. What'd you major in?
Soldiers lost track of time and space in the pulverized wasteland. Once a thriving city, where hundreds of thousands of people lived in multi-story buildings. Traps and ambushes were omnipresent. The Germans could, for example, hold the first and third floors of a building, while the Soviets still occupied the second. One mistake, or one step too far into the open, and that was it. Soviet snipers, marksmen and hunters from the Soviet Union's eastern regions lay camouflaged in the rubble, killing Germans with extraordinary precision. Casualty
One of them being Vasily Zaitsev and his scout snipers.
rates among German officers rose to unprecedented levels, as their life expectancy at the front was often just a few hours. It was an extremely draining way of conducting war, both mentally and physically. No sleep was granted, as every night was illuminated by flares and harassing fire. This was not the warfare to which the Germans were accustomed. No open battlefield maneuvers, no blitzkrieg-style advances. Forced to keep their heads down, they called it Rattenkrieg, the war of rats. For the men fighting in the city, this was not about ideology or war aims, but about simple survival. And for the Soviets, survival meant killing as many Germans as possible. But the German Sixth Army did not just consist of Germans, but also Austrians, Italians, Hungarians, Romanians, Croats, and indeed Russians known as Hiwis. They were among the most tenacious fighters, knowing that falling into Soviet hands was, for them, a sentence worse than death. The communist regime had barely even any pity left for its own men, or the women and children still trapped between the two armies. During the final phase of the September battles, the Germans still made progress. The party headquarters of Stalingrad might have fallen on the 26th, but the rest of the city did not. Chuikov's credo that every man had to become a stone of the city was making a difference. For the Germans, attacking the Red Square, the Red October worker settlements, or the Barikadi gun factory was like attacking a fortress of steel and concrete. The main railway station changed sides 15 times in just 5 days. Hitler was visibly frustrated over the stubborn
The look on his face is priceless.
Soviet resistance and the mounting casualties. General Paulus had promised him many times that the fall of the city was just a few days away. How could the Sixth Army, one of the largest and strongest, not break the Soviets? The German censors at home tried their best to hide the fact that this was a battle of attrition, that the Germans might actually lose. Nervousness swept through the Fuhrer's headquarters. Throughout October, the fight for the northern industrial sector and the heights of the Mamayev Kurgan continued, but supplies and reserves were running dangerously low. The field hospitals within Stalingrad and on the banks of the Volga were packed with wounded as far as the eye could see. Stalin himself met with the Stavka to discuss the coming Soviet counterstroke, codenamed Operation Uranus. While the city's defenders would continue holding
I know I shouldn't laugh at that, but look out, Third Reich. You're going to get it right up the wazoo.
out, the offensive would be directed against the overstretched German lines outside the city, where
It's almost as if I've seen this imagery before from a person named Eastery, for example. Is this a collab video? Because if that's the case, that's awesome.
far away from the street-to-street fighting, the forces guarding the steppes and along the bends of the River Don fought in the monotony of trench warfare. The Romanian Fourth Army was there, but captured prisoners had revealed to the Soviets they had nearly zero anti-tank weapons. So, while the Germans poured more and more men into the city, Stalin was determined to turn it into a trap. By November, its fate was still uncertain, but the German soldiers began to realize they would have to stay there through the brutal Russian winter. And after Hitler once again broadcast near victory on the radio on the 8th, the temperatures fell dramatically the following day. On November 19th, Soviets
It's getting a little chilly over here in Chicago, too. Cold weather, but it doesn't get that cold over there when old man Soviet winter comes around. And that's what was the death punch, death blow, death kick in the face to the Third Reich and their adjacent armies and their allies. The Soviet winter.
stockpiling came to an end. Over 1 million men had been assembled in the rain and frost. Operation Uranus began. Heavy artillery shells and shrieking Katyusha rockets crashed into the Romanian lines. Successfully fighting off the first waves, they eventually broke as the massive T-34 tanks smashed through their lines unchallenged. Paulus, putting his trust in the Führer's calculations, had totally failed to prepare for such a possibility. No mobile tank force was available to prevent the disaster taking place on his flanks. The Axis forces outside the city were now threatened from three sides. Suddenly, the whole German force on the southern Don front was threatened with being cut off. Pulling back was the only option. On Sunday, November 22nd, the news broke in Hitler's headquarters. Stalingrad surrounded, Russians approaching, Romanians retreating. First, the encircled German forces perceived this Kessel, as they called it, simply as temporary. Now forced to hold out until they could be relieved, they reversed the roles. True to the rules of the Stalingrad Academy of Street Fighting, they formed a defensive hedgehog, turning their surroundings into defenses. But in December, the Russian winter was tightening its grip around the city, as was the Soviet snare. While many Germans still clung to the promise, hold on, the Führer will get you out, others began to lose faith. The combat fatigue, the malnutrition, the sleeplessness took a heavy toll on the soldiers. Every tank lost was irreplaceable. Shells were getting fewer and fewer, and fighting strength deteriorated rapidly, as did.
And plus, not to mention knowing that the Soviets are knocking on the door. Come on. The Germans knew it. They're going to get it right at the wazoo. They were done. Done. Deader than a doornail.
All hope of making it out alive. The Sixth Army could not simply be supplied by an air bridge, as there were neither enough planes nor fuel available. And what was supposed to be the saving grace that was Operation Winterstorm by Field Marshal von Manstein was halted 40 miles in front of the Kessel by strong Soviet opposition. The Symphony of Stalingrad spoke of incoming doom. The NKVD played tango music and propaganda from German communists through the loudspeakers as Katyusha rockets screeched overhead. German rations were cut to a third.
Not gonna lie, that's freaking brutal. It's metal, but it's brutal.
In the hope that they would hold out until 1943. Cases of self-inflicted wounds and desertions increased. Despite the rumors that the Soviets would kill every prisoner, many had just simply had enough. Rations then became so small, soldiers were expected to live and fight off a small slice of black bread a day and whatever they could find for their soup. Draft animals were slaughtered, dogs skinned. Already weakened by starvation, thousands were hit by disease and frostbite. The overcrowded field hospitals were a gruesome sight of death and open wounds. Those too seriously wounded were just left to die. Huddled together in cellars, shivering in tattered gray overcoats, and with swollen, frozen limbs, the army was disintegrating day by day. There was not a single healthy man left in the Kessel. But Paulus refused to surrender, even as his army was pushed into the smallest corner of the city. Hitler had by now given up on the Sixth Army, ordering Paulus to hold out like the Spartans at Thermopylae and die for Germany's future. According to him, the Sixth Army had fulfilled its historical contribution to the greatest passage in German history. The city was to be its grave. Soviet General Rokossovsky had the honor of finishing the job. Soviet tanks, unchallenged by useless anti-tank guns without shells, crushed all resistance under their tracks. Many German officers shot themselves, while others made heroic last stands. On January 31st, Soviet soldiers cleared out the last cellars and dugouts with grenades and flamethrowers in the city center before breaking into Paulus's command post. Over 90,000 men were taken captive, the remnants of the mighty Sixth Army. But these were pitiful remnants of men, starved, weak, sick, limping and shuffling towards the snow-clad steppe. Most of them did not survive the marches to the camps, and many were shot along the way. The Soviets proclaimed, "After Stalingrad, we shall give no quarter." They didn't. With upwards of 2 million casualties, or perhaps more, it was the bloodiest battle of the entire war, and the largest with over 2 million involved at the time of the counteroffensive. it wasn't just a loss for the Axis powers or for Germany. In many ways, it was the loss. The initiative of the war, after a year of Axis gains, had shifted in the USSR's favor. Germany had lost an entire army, and their European allies, save Finland, had been broken. It is hard to overestimate the significance of the Soviet victory at Stalingrad, one of the major turning points in military history. Alan Brooke, British Chief of Staff,
That's one lucky cat that didn't get eaten. Hopefully, it did not get eaten.
said this: I felt Russia could never hold. Caucasus was bound to be penetrated. Abadan, our Achilles heel, would be captured with the consequent collapse of the Middle East, India, etc. After Russia's defeat, how were we to handle the German land and air forces liberated? England would again be bombarded, threat of invasion revived, and now we start 1943 under conditions I would never have dared to hope. Russia has held. Egypt, for the present, is safe. There is a hope of clearing North Africa of Germans in the near future. The entire war had changed for the Allies, for the whole world, and for the future of mankind, for every one of you watching now.
To the brave and valiant defenders of Stalingrad, who held the line and didn't give an inch. Well, of course, there was some ground taken here and there, but they held, and Germany and the Third Reich were defeated. Wow.
Now, Joachim, you said that the lyrics to Stalingrad were inspired by a Russian soldier's diary.
Yes. Was a bit of a mess, actually, that one. I read all the books I could get my hands on. I watched all the movies. I even went through Anthony Beevor's, big pile.
All of his books are big piles.
That's true. And I didn't know where to start, actually.
Okay.
Sitting there trying to come up with the lyrics. There was so much info, but yet there was nothing there that got the juices flowing, I guess.
That really put it down concisely.
No, there's too much. You can't see the forest because of the trees,
Ah, see? Metaphors.
Anyway, I ended up with finding a translation of a Russian soldier's diary. It wasn't complete. It was just a few pages that had been translated and found. And I thought those were more inspiring than all the books and all the movies I read.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, I couldn't have done it without having read all of those books and watched all of those movies.
Yeah.
Because obviously that info can be used when I'm writing the lyrics. So
Did you have a
absolutely-
favorite book or a favorite movie that you would recommend?
On Stalingrad,
Uh-huh.
anything but Anthony Beevor's big book. It's amazing, but it's so boring.
Now, I use Anthony
Oh, that's not cool. Come on.
Beaver for the World War II in Real Time channel. I use him as one of my sources, and everything he writes is massive. And there's a trick. Don't tell Anthony Beaver I said this. There's a trick. You read one page and go, that's very interesting, and then you skip 2 pages and read the next page, and you basically get the entire story without having to read the whole thing. I just said that on camera, so somebody is going to tell Anthony Beaver. Okay. But listen, Per, you said you were talking about a story about the band in Stalingrad and not just the lyrics in the song.
Yeah. I mean, today the city is not Stalingrad.
No.
It's Volgograd.
Right.
But we had the opportunity to play in Stalingrad.
Oh, why'd you change the name? The name's all right. Hashtag bring it back. Depending how people feel about it.
Because of the 70 years anniversary of the battle.
Okay.
So there was this promoter who organized an event.
Yeah.
However, some local politician thought that Sabaton was a bad idea. There
Local
are
politicians,
sometimes,
yeah.
especially in the old days, there were more controversies around the band.
Okay.
And this local politician had the idea that Sabaton is not coming there to celebrate the 70 years anniversary of Stalingrad. Sabaton is coming there to make a statement and burn the Russian flag on the stage.
He decided that all by himself.
Yeah, we were actually not allowed to enter the country due
Really?
to bans on our passports. I mean, I did write a letter, a response letter to this, which was a public letter which was published in newspapers.
In Russia.
In Russia,
Okay.
yes. where I stated that Sabaton is a non-political band. We are not there to make a political statement. We are there to perform a show for our fans. We are honored to be part of the 70 years anniversary of the Battle of Stalingrad. So the passport ban was lifted.
Okay.
But we never were able to do that specific show.
Oh, that's a shame. But you did make it to Arlanda Airport, though.
Yes.
That's the Stockholm Airport. So
here we go.
Here's a fun little story.
With the stupidest.
It's not
weird
stupid. This is a
story.
great story.
Okay. The band is not allowed to enter Russia,
Right.
but my passport is lifted earlier
Okay.
in order to go to Stalingrad to meet with media
Okay.
and explain the story. At this point, on the behalf of the promoter, I'm in business class flying.
Okay, cool.
There's two people in the business class. It's me and it's the Swedish artist Dr. Alban.
Dr. Alban.
Okay. Very good.
Okay.
And
I guess we're not allowed to use a clip of Dr. Alban's music. No, that's a shame.
Hallelujah!
There we go. You and Dr. Alban. That's a weird.
yeah.
Okay.
So we board the plane. We're sitting there like, okay, fair enough. We're gonna go to Russia, and I'm changing plane in Moscow and going to Stalingrad.
Right.
The plane is broken.
Okay. Is it Aeroflot?
It's an Aeroflot flight. and it's
Sorry,
broken.
Russia, but it's broken. It's impossible. It's broken. Kaput. Okay.
Okay, so we're on the plane,
Yeah.
and they come to us and they say, "Hey, the plane is broken. You have to leave, and you
Okay.
will get a new flight."
Okay.
So they only take us two. The rest
Okay.
of the people are sitting still in the plane.
In the broken plane.
In the broken plane. And they take me and Dr. Alban, and we get new flight tickets for the next flight.
Okay.
And then they give us a table at O'Leary's in...
Oh, in Terminal 5?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. You can't miss the O'Leary's in Terminal 5 at Arlanda Airport.
I'm sitting there with Dr. Alban, and he's having a long discussion talking to the Russian promoter because obviously he's playing a show that night
Right. Oh,
in
wow.
Moscow. And
Okay.
he's ensuring that he will arrive, and he wants to play the show late night,
Okay.
even though it's gonna be very late because our flight is gonna leave at like 2 o'clock in the night, and we are.
Oh, wow, that late?
Yeah, and we're skipping time, so he's gonna land at 4 or something, and he wants to go on stage very late.
So he's gonna go get there at like 4 in the morning, and he wants to go on stage at like 5 in the morning.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he says the show is still on, and he has some kind of argument with the promoter who doesn't believe in this. And
not
at some
surprised.
point, Dr. Alban is making this statement, very loud as he is. I wish the Nazis won World War II, so there will be some kind of...
Holy cow, why would you say something so crazy? Why would you do that? Why? What demon would possess you?
you guys would have some manners. And I'm sitting at the table next to
Yeah.
him and trying to kind of disappear.
Yes. It's sort of like you hear that, you'd be like, all right. You know, probably thinking in the back of your mind, like, okay, we're here at this event. Got this guy next to me. Oh, this is pretty nice. I can't wait to go home. Then he makes a statement, and no, I'm not going to repeat that. What did you just say? In front of everybody? Oh, I wish I could disappear right now.
Yeah. Because there's a crowd around you guys, right?
There's a crowd, it's full packed O'Leary's, and everybody's looking at our table.
Well, Dr. Alban, if you're out there, I really hope that you made that show. Actually,
And thank you for the dinner.
I would see a Dr. Alban show at 5 in the morning. I think that would be really fun. If you do another one, we'll all go, right?
I go.
We're all going. You do another 5 a.m. show, is it in Moscow?
Yeah.
Who's going to do it?
Yeah.
Okay, we're all going. That's our
Next
promise.
time in Moscow, we're there.
Okay, well, thank you guys for today. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Stalingrad, but we will see you next time on Sabaton History.
So if you subscribe and if you become a patron, you have the chance to get our old Sabaton albums with in-depth comments talking about the historical background of each song, similar to this video, but in an audio format. Really beautiful, really nicely done.
And that's all for today. Thank you very much, and see you soon.
Do 20 push-ups, do 100 sit-ups, do, I guess, 20 pull-ups, and drink water. But, oh, wait, I'm sorry. Did you think it was over yet? This is Americans Learn. Now that we got our learn on, we get the music. So this is from Sabaton History, Stalingrad. We'll play it its full entirety, so sit back, relax, and listen to the music in a 3, a 2, a 1. Pretty badass right there, man. Pretty badass. That is awesome stuff right there from Sabaton History. Stalingrad. Awesome music video. Huge shout out to the entire band for delivering some freaking kick-ass notes. That is an awesome, awesome video, but also really dedicated video to the Battle of Stalingrad. And something that just got my attention in the description box below. Now, the original link to this video is in the description box below, but in the original description box below for Stalingrad World War II Sabaton History number 3, turns out my eyeballs notice Eastery has been highlighted in here. So shout out to Eastery for being in a Sabaton History video. Of course, this video did come out August 29th, 2019, but hey, always happy to see a collaboration between two great content creators that talk about world history, that have picked up the torch where the History Channel dropped it to only focus on aliens. So that's always awesome. If there's more videos, or these are videos that you guys and gals like seeing us check out here for Americans Learn, please give us your feedback. It is so fundamentally important that we hear from you, our viewing audience. I hope all of you are doing well. I hope all of you had a very safe and happy Thanksgiving. I had a lot to eat, so there you go. I got plenty of leftovers, and I hope all of you have a safe and productive November. December is the last month of 2023, and I can't wait to put this whole gosh darn year behind me, and I'm looking forward to a very successful 2024. All the best to you. Drink water, and shout out to the brave defenders of Stalingrad who held the line. Take care and peace.